section 3 here, we're going to talk about proper training, and there's 3 areas that I want to talk about. Number 1 is running surfaces, number 2 is base building, and number 3 is running form. So let's start with running surfaces. Of course, there's a variety of running surfaces that one may encounter. Quite often it's better to have somewhat of a softer running surface, so grass is always great. The problem with a lot of grassy surfaces though is that you'll run into uneven ground and there's the risk of ankle sprains and such. I would guess that most people tend to run on the road, and the biggest thing you want to pay attention to when running on the road is the cambered surfaces. For example, if you're running on the right side of the road is going to be slightly tilted this way. That's just the way all roads are. If you run on the left side of the road, it tends to be slightly cambered this way. So if you always run on the right side of the road, you're always going to be placing forces on your feet and knees and hips in this direction. And after a while, that can cause problems. I'm not going to go into detail what they are, but the same holds true if you always run on the left side of the road. So you do want to vary that on which surfaces you're on. Number 2, base building. I think it's a big mistake people often make when they start running. They increase their distance by too large of an increment to start. You want to start out slow, and I would recommend that you not increase your distance more than 10% a week. By doing so, you're going to build up your body's tolerances to running, and your ligaments and muscles will be able to tolerate the new stresses, and you'll be much less likely to injure your body. The third area I want to talk about is running form, and this is a very important area to talk about. Okay, regarding running form, we're going to talk about 4 major points here. The first, when you're trying to run correctly and not incur any injuries, you want to try to hit on the ball of your foot. Now, what is the ball of your foot? Well, this is the heel, and the ball is right here. This is the arch, so it's right in front of the arch. You want to hit right here. The problem, why you don't want to hit on the heel, if you want to again pan down, when I hit on the heel like this, you're sending a shock force all the way up into through the ankle, knee, and hip. It's almost like you're putting the brakes on. When you hit on the ball of the foot, the foot can easily roll over, and you're not putting much force up through the body. You can also see it on this figure right up here. As you can see, when there's a ground reaction force here, it's going to send a huge force up through the leg, which is actually it's almost like putting the brakes on. I guess I mentioned that already. As opposed to this running style, when the ball of the foot hits, it's immediately coming off the surface, and there is not any braking action. So not only will it make you less prone to injuries, it'll also make you faster, because you're going to be not having this braking force going on. The second point, the knee that on the impact leg, the leg that first hits, should be slightly bent. And the reason for that is it's going to act like a shock absorber again. Again, you don't want it straight and it's just going to send the force up through the body, causing injury. You actually run with it slightly bent, just like animals do. If you watch their legs, they're all slightly bent all the time, the knee is. And one of the cues that some people use is that you actually want to run like you're a couple inches shorter than you are. Again, it's going to keep your posture a little more level while you're running, and it's also going to take some of the forces off your legs. The third point, when you're running, you want to have low clearance. You don't want to be striding up real high like this. Can you see how that would expend more energy, and also as you're hitting the surface, it's going to cause more forces through, and again, more possible injuries. It's much more efficient to just barely clear the ground, running like you're running on a surface of eggs, and you're trying not to crack them. I mean, that's a key phrase that some people have used. The key is to increase your turnover. By turnover, meaning how quickly you're lifting your legs, as opposed to increasing your stride length. Whenever you cue someone to try to increase their strides, they're going to start doing that, kicking that heel way out and causing the force to come up through the heel, as opposed to if you're trying to pick up your feet fast, you're now working on running lightly and not increasing the forces. If you're very serious about running, I would recommend that you might consider looking at the pose method. The information on the pose method, invented by this Russian scientist, is much beyond the capability of this presentation. So, I mean, it's something you'd have to look up on your own. You can just Google pose method and you will find plenty on it. There's a book that he has written, and actually I would recommend the video because it becomes a lot more clear when you watch the video. Again, if you're a very serious runner, I can tell you from a physical therapy standpoint, the points that he makes are very sound, and it will help you run more efficient and with less injuries. So, these are the 4 points of running form. Thank you very much.